the data is still muddy for all intents and purposes. We have the ability to track, like say, source attribution or something like that through Google Analytics. You can set up custom tracking and all of that, but there's no right now out of the box solution that says, here's how your search is performing in AI specifically. Something that you and I touched on, Koa, is I'd be really interested to see.
Early on when AI overviews came out, I think people started realizing, hey, this is affecting my click-through rate. Should I actually target AI overviews, or maybe I actually don't even want to be a part of them, right? And I think the mantra that we adopted at Big Leap was more, hey, if you can improve your visibility within AI overviews, maybe we can catch that customer along the way later on.
The good news is that during this holdover phase where there are these tools being curated and developed, is the name of the game is still the same. And so while we don't have necessarily a source of truth, right, or a Google Search Console metric to be able to point at how we're performing in AI overviews and so on, to get that performance to stick and to get a presence in that arena.
And there's no source of truth. There's no, one way to do this. So we're definitely pulling multiple pieces together to try and make this bigger picture. And I just cannot wait until Search Console actually gives us some kind of semblance of organized data around AI results.
But I think that honestly, we should all adopt to AI, because AI is going to be future more and more. And we start with content, we are adjusting content, but actually that's all the same. So we are optimizing for feature snippets. We are optimizing doing structured data. Structured data is used by Google, is also used for LLMs. There's no big difference, just we are going advanced in all that.
So welcome to SEO On Air. I'm your host, Koa Kawe. This is a podcast brought to you by Stand Ventures. This is where we bring in the top minds of SEO and digital marketing to share cutting-edge insights, real-world experience, and practical strategies to help you grow your business in today's fast-changing search landscape. Today, we have 3 guests. We're happy that they're all here. The first guest that we'll introduce is Jelena. She's the SEO strategist from Olibro Design. She's guiding brands through the ever-changing landscape of search, blending technical expertise with creative strategy, and known for her sharp eye on SEO trends and her ability to turn complex data into clear growth. She's also a fan of advertising her company, not necessarily herself. So we're excited to have her as a guest today, where we get a chance to talk about her. Also today, we have Ryan with us. Ryan's from Seafoam Media. He's a strategist who treats marketing budgets as precious investments. One thing we talked about when I first got introduced into him was the thought of a marketing fiduciary. He's known for ditching cookie cutter SEO tactics and building strategies that actually works. He wants your budget to be used as efficiently as possible. And then we have Tyler Brown with us, head of SEO and AI at Big Leap, with over a decade of experience leading SEO strategy and now pioneering AI-powered search. Tyler helps brands drive sustainable digital growth at scale. He's led teams of 40 plus, managed millions in revenue, and continues to push the boundaries for what's possible in search. So welcome all 3 of you to the show. We're happy to have you. We have you give you guys all a big wave here. So thanks for joining us, guys. Today, the first question I wanted to dive into with you guys was the rise of AI overviews. So let's start with an open question, so anyone can answer this here today. Let's start with the big one. AI overviews and answer engines are quickly becoming the new front door to search. How are you adopting this shift? And are you building or optimizing content specifically for AEO or GEO, depending on how you want to phrase it, overviews? I'm going to keep this just an open discussion. I'm going to let whoever wants to go first answer this, and then you guys can ask questions from each other after that.
Maybe I'll kick things off with just a quick story. Early on when AI overviews came out, I think people started realizing, hey, this is affecting my click-through rate. Should I actually target AI overviews, or maybe I actually don't even want to be a part of them, right? And I think the mantra that we adopted at Big Leap was more, hey, if you can improve your visibility within AI overviews, maybe we can catch that customer along the way later on, right? Even further down the funnel. So, our mantra absolutely became, hey, if search is going to evolve, we're just going to evolve with it and, adopt it and, make it a part of our strategy. But it certainly doesn't make it any easier sometimes when, click-through rates are dropping or year-over-year clicks and actual traffic is decreasing.
So I'll open this question up even further and say, with AI overviews being such a big part of a lot of agencies' adoption, one of the complicated aspects we've seen to it are the result, like tracking results, the data behind performance. So I want to ask that to expand it even further. How are your teams tracking AI results? And do you feel like you're getting data that is credible and valuable for your customers, or do you feel like the data is still a bit muddy?
That's a great question. I'd say that the data is still muddy for all intents and purposes. We have the ability to track, like say source attribution or something like that through like Google Analytics. You can set up custom tracking and all of that, but there's no right now out of the box solution that says, here's how your search is performing in AI specifically. Something that you and I touched on, Koa, is I'd be really interested to see, and Tyler, I'm interested to get your thoughts as well, is how Google Search Console responds. And if and when we're going to see new features and new tools within Google Search Console that would indicate our ability to track the efficacy of said optimizations within the organic space. Right now, there is no dedicated metric. There is no hub or home within Google Search Console for us to consolidate that information to be able to say, yes, in fact, this is making this kind of an impact. So I think right now where we sit, and Tyler, correct me, Jelena, obviously hop in, is that we're able to assess data, but that data is only as good as the engineer who's putting together each of those data points to be able to paint a full picture. There's nothing out of the box yet, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the space evolves and how Google responds by giving those sorts of tools, some air.
Tyler, I'm gonna bring that question to you in a specific way. Last time we talked, you had been testing out services, and I think it's okay to name brands at this point because it's part of the podcast, but you were using Scrunch, right, to try to collect data?
Yeah. And I've tested several different platforms, and we ultimately landed on Scrunch as kind of our primary partner for visibility tracking. It's, I'd say it's not perfect, right? I think the way that marketers are used to tracking their visibility is very much like, hey, I'm number one, right? This is the keyword. I'm number one, or I'm number three. What do I do to be number one? So we've kind of had to change people's minds about how tracking is evolving and how it works now. And, I've told my teams, hey, it's more about trend analysis than it is about actually knowing where you rank now, right? Like we're digging into bot traffic dashboards now where we're connecting with Cloudflare and we're saying, hey, when are bots hitting your website? What page? All that stuff. It's a fragmented picture. Like you said, Ryan, there's no source of truth. There's no, one way to do this. So we're definitely pulling multiple pieces together to try and make this bigger picture. And I just cannot wait until Search Console actually gives us some kind of semblance of organized data around, AI results.
Real quick, just to piggyback on that, Tyler's really great point, is I'm really interested in seeing, so obviously there's like rankings data and all of that stuff for like traditional organic search, and that hasn't gone away. It maybe has taken new shape or whatever, and always has with the introduction of ads, local ads, all of that stuff. It's just, the local pack in and of itself. So that's going to continue to evolve. And I'm really interested in seeing how quickly those tools become available to us. And also, there is good news on this, Koa. It's like, I know that if you zoom out, the last 5 minutes has been like, gee, I don't know. It's kind of murky. Here's the good news. The good news is that during this holdover phase where there are these tools being curated and developed, is the name of the game is still the same. And so while we don't have necessarily a source of truth, right, or a Google Search Console metric to be able to point at how we're performing in AI overviews and so on, to get that performance to stick and to get a presence in that arena, while we may not be able to track it down to, and close the loop perfectly, it's still about providing value to users, fulfilling a need to users, writing copy that actually answers questions and will actually fulfill a need, right? And so if you continue, right, let's say that you are really well versed in SEO and you have this really robust technical and on-page oriented SEO campaign, continue to do those things. right? So it's not like we don't have a map for what works and what doesn't work. And also we're not able to track it. AI overviews are an expansion and an extension of where SEO came from and what the purpose of SEO was in the first place, which was to offer up to users the best possible result per their search term. That's still happening, and how algorithms and bots and AI overviews and so on and so forth index all the information and prioritize and all of those rankings factors, those are still all relevant and important components to having a successful and healthy organic search presence. So my point in saying that is we spent the first 5 minutes saying, gee, I don't know, it's all kind of murky, and that doesn't sound very promising. So to keep a positive spin on it is to say that stuff will work itself out. And in the meantime, continue to do what you did to fashion together a healthy and successful SEO campaign and watch the AI piece kind of fall into place.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the requests for that data are coming ultimately from a customer who sees a pattern and is recognizing that there's opportunity. And that's where there's a lot of positivity. And these companies are all competing. There's a lot of them. They're all competing with each other to produce the best data that they can. And so inevitably it's going to get better just due to the nature of competition. So we're excited about the potential here. Jelena, I'll bring you in on this again too. One of the things we're seeing is that your customers are really asking to optimize in their AI overviews. They have no idea necessarily what that means, but they want to get better. Jelena, what have you heard from your customers about their desire to grow in overviews?
Well, first, they want to know what it is and how we are doing. So that became service, and we need to offer it as a service. And then we need to explain them what that requires. So they, for example, read one blog post about LLM TXT, and they are interesting to know what that is, how we are going to create that, or what we are going to put there. And then we start from there. Someone is going to agree with me and someone is using LLMs, but other clients, for example, I have a client that they don't want to show up in AI overviews. And that's different based on client to client. So maybe they want to protect their information. Maybe they want to protect data because they think there's the leverage. But I think that honestly, we should all adopt to that, to AI, because AI is going to be future more and more. And we start with content. We are adjusting content, but actually that's all the same as Ryan said. So we are optimizing for future snippets. We are optimizing doing structured data. Structured data is used by Google, is also used for LLMs. There's no big difference, just we are going advanced in all that. That's my opinion.
Okay. I think Ryan and Jelena, both of your comments lead us pretty well into question 2, which is SEO without clicks. So one of the biggest challenges right now is that not every search leads to clicks. And it's a conversation as to why some customers feel like they might not want to put not want to have all their stuff on AI overviews. Maybe they feel like they're answering questions that take traffic away from their website and maybe cause the lack of conversion. Some customers know their products are more geared towards a deeper research and that they'll probably get contacted once someone finds their way down the funnel. How are your teams approaching that sensitivity to whether or not AI overviews is really the right place for your customer? Or do you feel like it's the right place for everyone, as you mentioned, Jelena? I want to kind of dive into that side of things.
I think we should all dive into that because people might not click on the first site, but they are going to remember our brand. And actually, when we are talking about clicks and impressions, we don't get them all from AI overviews. So, for example, ChatGPT is one source of AI mentions, and we don't have tracking systems for clicks and impressions that can come from ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Gemini. And users are actually using more those kind of tools. So we have a lot of traffic coming to our websites through those tools, and we don't have tools like search consoles for AI. So that's the thing. Maybe there's no less clicks and less impressions. It's just that we don't see them, so we are not counting them. But actually, that's not true. They are there, just we need to wait for.
I think that's interesting. You mentioned visibility being a big part of that.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's converting or not, that visibility. Tyler, I'm going to throw this over to you. What do you think about visibility and branding on overviews? How are you seeing that be important to your customers? What are they asking for in that sense?
Yeah, for sure. I referenced a little bit earlier how important we believe it is for our clients to show in those overviews from a branding perspective. Also, if I can interject a little bit, I've had a couple conversations with reps at Google on the paid side. And I've had some arguments a little bit with them, but more just like them agreeing with my assessment. And it was more of, hey, Google has never, ever prioritized organic results above paid results in the history of Google, right? It's always been ads at the top. It's always been prioritizing the click. And I think this was the one time that Google was like, hey, we're going to take care of the user. And this is going to be a fully organic result. And to shy away from that, at least from Big Leap's perspective and how we handle search for our clients and brand building, was definitely, against kind of our mantra and how we handle it. So it was more just like, hey, we're going to go for it. And then when Google inevitably has to change that AI overview to now entice the user to click for potentially a paid result, hopefully some organic results, we're going to be in the right place, right? We didn't back down. We went for it. And now our clients are in the right spot and we can take advantage of market shifts or even, just shifts in how Google sends traffic to different websites. But I'd love to hear, Ryan, how you and your team have approached it as well, because there's a lot of different mantras there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to start off with a trope, but it really does depend, right? Is like, what are you selling and who are your clients? Are you the seller of information or are you the seller of products? Right? Like those things matter. And there is a bit of an occupational hazard of if the value that you provide your end user and the product that you provide ultimately is intellectual, in that it is a service that is executed through expertise and experience and so on. It's an occupational hazard that you've got to put out there that you're able to do this stuff and that you're able to think through these lenses. And if a by proxy result is that you show up in AI overviews, I would say that's a good problem to have, right? Namely because people are going to see that AI has quoted you. And so there's a lot to be said about what that can do from a thought leadership perspective. But if my motive in my business is retail or e-commerce or something like that, then certainly landing myself in an AI overview, while it might give me some brand visibility, it's not going to move the needle in terms of what I need it to do. Right? Showing up in an AI overview as a retailer, being quoted, but not necessarily to push a product, is not going to generate revenue for me. But if that is my center, and if that's what's driving my entire strategy is to create that revenue by moving product, so again, it's just a matter of if, right? If this, then that. Depends on if you're in this business, if you're B2B, business to consumer. But at the end of the day, Google, again, to go back to that original point, Google's product is to offer up the best possible solution for someone's search query. And that also means making it as convenient as possible for the person to find the answer to their question. And so what that means is that they're going to keep people on the search engine results page if they can, right? Because they want to mitigate click depth, which makes perfect sense. So I don't think that the answer is, well, if I optimize for Google, then that means that I'm going to get less traffic 360 degrees. Well, that's not going to help you either, right? So the answer is to not do nothing. So it's a really interesting question as far as like who should show in there, who shouldn't. And I think at the end of the day, what it does for me is it further substantiates the claim that businesses and organizations need to prioritize the middle of the funnel in their marketing efforts. For those that make it through to the top, capturing that information and now having a pipeline that you can segment and nurture over a period of time is going to be paramount during these infancy stages of this transition over to AI. Because like you said, Tyler, right now they've gifted us that this AI overview is an organic result. Do you think it's going to stay that way? Probably not, right?
That was going to be one of my questions for everybody is how long until advertisements hit AI overviews?
They're here, man. Honestly, like in a lot of ways, it's already being tested. But have we seen the full extent of it? Not even close.
I know even our company, you don't want all of our marketing to be pay to play, like you already mentioned, Tyler. But even us, we're producing stuff that allows overviews to view more content from your company, expanding your brand online. Which to Ryan, to your point, like one of the companies I think I mentioned, and I might have mentioned all of you on the call, but they were a landscaping company. And they're working, they said that it's not valuable at all for us to produce how to get your grass green because we're giving someone an answer and then they go make their grass green. But I also would argue that the brand visibility of someone that didn't successfully make their grass green but found you once, they might have that impression could be valuable for a second time. And ultimately, Ryan, as you mentioned, it's the user experience. If you deliver a better user experience, I think that really increases your chance of that brand right now it feels like polarizing where you would capture 90% of the market. Kind of like we always talked about hiding a dead body on page 2 is like the best place to hide a dead body, right? Now it's position 5 on page 1 because it's like 2-minute scroll to get there sometimes.
It's so funny that you say that. This actually just came up in a conversation that I had with a client earlier, which is, do you remember it wasn't so long ago that if you were on the second page of Google, people would go, oh, this is where people go to die. Nobody goes to the second page of Google, right? And now that's not so much the case because there has been, a series of tests for pagination and getting rid of pagination within Google, and it has come back. There's also been the paid space of, above the maps and then paid within the maps and then paid at the bottom of the maps. Is like people are realizing that so much of the system is being circumvented that there's almost more trust in the businesses that are on the second page because there's less effort being made to manipulate, right? And so it's almost flipped the script, right? Where it's like the second page is no longer where businesses go to die. That just happens to be where the good businesses can get. And I think people are starting to pick up on that.
I think that like when we talk to the marketing heads, right? Like I'm going to make myself look terrible here, but I used to click on an ad every once in a while of a competitor thinking it was funny that I charged them $1.20, right? Like when you've been in marketing enough, you understand.
You got some agency fired,
So you understand the games that are being played a little bit and you can say, I'm going to scroll to the bottom of page 1 to find who actually does what I want them to do. But that the convenience factor of overviews and the simplicity of not needing to play any games right now is causing an adoption that's been like, it's like a wildfire growing, right? Like you find out you don't have to navigate the mess. You just use overviews to ask the question.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, we lost Jelena again here because the next question, guys, is going to be, you're optimizing for AI overviews now. There's a lot of agencies that are still trying to figure out how to optimize for AI overviews. So as I think of really some of the best things that we could produce that would be valuable for people to hear, like where you're going to share expertise that could help other industries, things that I think are worth sharing online. Can you think of, this is a brutal question to ask, you probably weren't prepared, but can you list off in a priority, like what you would focus on, maybe steps 1 through 5? And I want to get it from both of you. How would you recommend a company or an agency optimize their customer in AI overviews? And I know it depends, but there's got to be some priorities that you think are the most valuable. Tell us give us a glimpse into what you think is the most valuable thing to optimize for AI overviews. It's a tough question. I'll give you a second to think about it as I go a little further, but I asked this to one of the people over at Search Atlas, and they kind of had their thought of what they would prioritize there. I think I tagged it on a LinkedIn post. I couldn't tell you all the details unless I went back and read it, but I think it's an interesting one that you guys could be tagged on that would be fun to share your knowledge to the industry.
100%. And Tyler, not to just grab the mic right away, I think that you and I could probably tag team this. The first and foremost is as like a prerequisite step, right? Which is going to be very similar to what it is right now in just the general SEO space. Is first, you're going to have to identify a need. You have to identify a need on behalf of your target users and your demographics, because that parlays directly and is relevant to search volume. And if you're writing about copy or if you're writing about topics and you're providing value in a sense for users that are clearly quantifiable and that there's enough search volume around these things, then that's going to increase the value of the copy that you have on your site because you're answering a valuable question in a meaningful way. Now, there's all the technical pieces, right? And Tyler, I can pass the mic to you, probably tackle some of that, which is ensuring schema markup and all of the appropriate advancements in the technical SEO space for AI. Those all exist. But I think a prerequisite, which again is singing from the same song sheet as the current SEO landscape, is that you must first identify a need. And so that you're writing copy and you're generating value and you're fulfilling a need on behalf of users, one that you know generates volume. So I think that's the most important piece in a whole, in a strategy, right, for SEO or AI SEO.
I'm going to jump in here and just ask a question here, because I think you're hitting on something that is trending, which is how much of AI overviews work is still traditional SEO work. And I'm going to make you guys kind of throw a number out here, and I won't hold you to it, and I'll edit it if you ask me to. But what percentage of AI overview work do you still consider to be traditional SEO work?
I'm going to make you go first this time, Tyler, but I have a number.
I hope it matches up because I'd love to hear your number without changing it. No changing it.
I won't change it.
Honestly, and this is quite the topic even internally within Big Leap right now. Honestly, it's probably 80%. Like,
oh my God, that was my number. I'm not even going to lie. I seriously had under my desk this because I was going to say 80%. Yeah.
I can tell by how excited you are that you want
that was real.
I should have made Tyler close his eyes and had you share the number with everybody first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you were to flip that and say, how much of traditional SEO affects ChatGPT, for example, I may have a different answer, right? Like 50, 60%. Like it's still a large portion, but there's definitely some differences between those engines and how they prioritize content and popularity and frequency and all that fun stuff, which I think Google is better than anyone at this point. I see a lot of our clients' competition on ChatGPT just pulling the levers at this point. And it's a question for me of not like whether it's going to happen, but when this spammy content will get cut out. This crazy top 10 lists where you include yourself as the number one and then all your competitors as every other. And it does so well, but Google has kind of matured through that over the years. So a lot of what we've done for our clients over the past several years is absolutely working within AI overviews, and kind of proves that when you focus on what's right for the customer, content, like you say, Ryan, that really answers the questions that your audience has, you're going to win.
Absolutely.
80% of it would be traditional SEO, depending on maybe the system that you're using to gauge that. Then there's the other percentages. And that would be, give me an idea as to what you guys are doing to optimize the additional percentage in there.
Yeah, I was just going to say the differential there is 20%. And I think that 20% could probably be wrapped up in all of the technical pieces that typically come by way of the algorithm evolving with new technology. Like a good example or a parallel would be back in 2015, 2016, right? When Google went hyper local. It was like, I don't really care if what you're looking for is a qualitative result versus a convenient result. I'm going to go ahead and offer you up the closest option because I'm assuming that you're looking for convenience, right? I think that it's a lot of the same sort of thing where there's, now that there's an AI overview and that there's a space for this, there's specific code that needs to be read, indexed, understood in order to package it up in a way for it to even be seen as an option in those spaces. So the differential there, that 20%, I think is wrapped up in the technical pieces of knowing how to capture all of what needs to be captured in order to even be seen as an option in AI. So different things like schema markup that didn't exist before that exists now, tracking capabilities that exist now that didn't exist before. To me, that's where the 20% is. But the real meat and potatoes being that 80% is how do I get seen, or how do I ensure that my business is available as an option in AI results? I think is just doing a lot of the same of what we've been doing.
What about you, Tyler? That extra 20%.
I would definitely echo that. I do go to some additional thoughts of, like, we had a client recently that hit a huge milestone, $1 billion valuation, became a unicorn, and made an announcement. And as an effort to like really spread that across the web, we did a huge digital PR push to get it out with journalists and publicists, and got 30 different spots, like Wall Street Journal, like the big times that really get referenced within a lot of these language models. And it was shocking to me that this news, I think it dropped back in late May, early June. It was shocking to me how quickly those articles were referenced within AI search for pretty like wide angle terms in their space. And it was basically saying AI was referencing, hey, these guys are legit because they just had this announcement, and we're going to include them in our list of companies you should consider. And that was a big one for me. I was like, oh, okay, like digital PR is here. And it always honestly has been in a lot of ways. And we've known it.
Backlinks. Yeah,
exactly. But never have I seen the ability to just pull a lever like that and have it done. Now, is it easy to get a big story, good digital PR for every single company? No, it's difficult. And that's, I think, part of the trick, right?
Writing $1 billion article, like writing on the topic you did, probably made it a little easier, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think it's a mix of, hey, it's great news, decent sized company, well run, have some great people there. And we spread the news as best we could. And it took, right? It's one of those things where it's like, well, what's the recipe for going viral? Nobody knows, right? You just
right.
strike gold. Yeah. And it's there, right?
Right time, right place, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just going to say that very same thing, Koa. It's the right place, right time, right message, and some of going viral, and some of, being the first to do something, the first to market, the first to whatever, is that can be the gift that keeps on giving. If you're in the right place at the right time, you publish the right blog post about the right thing, and it gets indexed at the right time. And, again, these are all just drops in the bucket, making the case for it's the same as it always has been, right? Which is creating valuable content and ensuring that it's relevant to users' needs with everything that's going on in the world. And where off-page optimizations looked a lot like getting valuable backlinks before, now it's more about content sharing and ensuring that your message is consistent from domain to domain, because all of those are trust signals that could potentially thrust you in an AI overview. So yeah, it's a lot of the same stuff, but just like a little different. In, Google's product, they don't want to put out anything that's going to allow for their product to be compromised, right? They don't want to put anything out there that's going to allow people like me or Tyler to circumvent systems or manipulate results. So there's a certain piece of reporting on AI and what makes anything viable for an AI overview. That's a little bit of the secret sauce right now, which has kind of always been the case. So it's a lot of doing the same, and it's a lot of just like being super plugged in and ensuring that you're thinking about your results critically.
There's the value of just being genuine, I feel like, is something that is a trend I'm seeing as we discuss this, especially with that extra 20%. You're basically saying produce quality content that engages users and gives them a reason to come back. Like even with your PR, like you're creating genuine content that's not necessarily fooling anybody into anything other than you need to know about this because they're growing and they're worth hearing about, and people were happy to post it. I think that actually is like a differentiator when we talk to agencies like you guys, or when we talk to an agency that maybe is using a more traditional standard model of fulfillment where they're not necessarily as strategic. They more know the levers to pull to try to get rankings ahead of certain competitors.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
And that's going to continue to, what's the word I'm looking for? Devolve, I think.
I've heard that from a lot of agencies, that they feel like the evolution of marketing is going to maybe destroy the middle pack of marketing agencies that have scaled up with a certain amount of success.
Yes.
But can't necessarily sustain highly strategic or customized marketing fulfillment at that level.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, Koa, you and I have discussed this in the past, that there are certain services within the overall digital marketing landscape, to oversimplify it, where you could say that the services are being commoditized by AI, right? And you wouldn't be wrong. Like, there are all sorts of AI tools that you can leverage to streamline and make optimizations and things like that more efficient and more effective. And that's all true. But what is still standing at the end of that is who fed the prompt, who engineered the solution, who, right? And that's that strategic mindset that, like, yeah, I could probably upload my sitemap to an AI, give it the confines of what is best practices for Google, and have it write me on page at a fraction of the time that I would do it. That is a massive fact. And in fact, you probably should be integrating that into your workflow, to some degree.
That's another fun question we could dive into if we had more time. Yeah.
So there is that aspect of it. But I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. So I guess the last question I would ask you guys is more, I'm sorry we lost Jelena on this because it's fun to have a group discussion here, but you're all well versed in marketing stuff, in marketing work. What would you want to know from each other? There's a question of like, what have you been stewing on inside your own agency that you might need an outside perspective on? Are there any questions you guys want to ask each other?
Oh boy. Yeah, there's all sorts. For me, and I don't want to make this about sales or anything like that, okay? Because it's not why we're here. But our industry has been rocked, in terms of the introduction of AI and how people leverage it and the value that they see, right? And something like what my agency does now that there's AI that can do some of this stuff. So I have my question for you, Tyler, without, being too explicit about it, is the state of the market, right? And in terms of not our clients, but for us in our clients, in finding clients and getting businesses to understand the value that we provide and so on and so forth. I'd be interested to get your experience in the market and businesses' appetite and willingness to invest in something that feels like we've been talking about, like there's still a lot to learn, but the tools aren't there yet. And so everything's kind of enigmatic. I'm having a really difficult time getting businesses to understand the value in literally everything that we've talked about here today, despite the fact that they know that people don't know and that it is a big question mark. So I guess, it almost just feels like everybody's kind of like on a freeze. Nobody's willing to invest in anything right now because everything feels so big and unknown. Is that your experience, Tyler?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, we just run the gamut here because like our existing client base, some of them totally get it. And they're coming to us saying, hey, my boss just went to an AI conference and he's blowing me up, man. Like, anything you can do to help me out and get us, showing better here or focusing more here would be great. I'd say that's probably, 20% of our clients, and the other 80% is absolutely a conversation around just educating them and not only showing them what we've tested, that we are the expert in these areas, also showing them how it could impact their business, positive or negative, right? Like we are absolutely in the space of educating our clients right now by saying, hey, you see the reports every month, right? Like traffic for many of our clients is absolutely decreasing. What's the story there? And how do we position our clients to be in the best possible position? I had a Google rep tell me that he said, you have to create a new baseline. Like this drop in traffic you're experiencing right now, you can't compare year over year anymore because the game has changed.
Yeah. Like it's COVID round 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like that. A new baseline because it's a new market. It's not the same as it existed before.
Exactly. So that's
just like we all on our end when COVID happened and the entire world shut down, we went through every single one of our analytics properties and annotated when the world shut down so that when we were able to look at data, we could say, oh, well, this is when the world shut down. So that's why we see that dip. That's exactly the same thing. That's a really good point, Tyler.
Yeah. So it's 100% that education process and just making sure clients know that they're not the only ones. This is happening to everyone. Obviously, different industries are affected differently. And from an agency perspective, that's honestly like why you'd want to work with an agency, right? They have all the data, they have the perspective and the expertise, and they're able to test quickly and get things in play for clients. And yeah, I guess I don't know if I answered that question well enough, but throwing another one over the fence to you.
Yeah,
I'd be really curious, like how you're handling those types of questions in the sales process, because for us, it does seem a little bit like we have people coming at us asking, "Hey, like I show really good on Google, but I show terribly on ChatGPT. Can you help us?" And our answer wants to be yes. But if we're being the true guides for our clients, we really should say, hey, Google's 210 times bigger than ChatGPT right now. You really shouldn't worry about it when it comes to dollars and cents. So I'm curious, Ryan, how do you handle that conversation with prospective clients? Some of it is positioning, some of it is education. How do you get that blend?
Yeah, man, that's a really great question.
I don't understand.
Google wants to be a part of the conversation.
That was a perfect
Google's
response.
always a part of the conversation.
That's what happens when you have a Google right on your desk. So I'm sorry for that. That's a good laugh, though.
No, it's a great question. And there is an aspect that was like, if we're being completely honest, right, which we are, is that we say there's a lot of this that we don't know, guys, right? Like there's some of this that we're just as the same has been the case for SEO over the course of the last decade, right? We have been made to guess our entire careers. This is the same thing, right? It's just taking a little bit different shape. So to answer your question more directly, I cling on to the notion, and not that it's a notion, it's a belief. And I do believe that is true, is that if we're investing in the right thing, which is the experience of the user, right, and providing value, stop using the client's business as the scapegoat for why we're doing what we're doing, right? Does that make sense? Whereas like our client's business, we as an agency, are we doing the right thing by our client to make sure that they're happy? Or are we doing the right thing for the user and for the end user? And for me, the sales process where you hit that hiccup is just changing the perspective of the business that you're talking to say like, I understand that would make you feel better to know, right? I understand it would make you feel better to be able to quantify how you're doing in AI. But I have to ask the question, are you first and foremost taking care of your users and providing them value? Right.
It's going to be your question we'll have to wrap this up on, because I think that's one that we would even almost ask on LinkedIn to the entire industry. That's the main one you have to ask your customers.
Let's do it. I want to hear from everybody.
I'll tag you both and we'll ask that question. We'll see what people say. We're wrapping this up. This has been another episode of Stan Ventures SEO on Air. Really appreciate you, Ryan and Tyler and Jelena. I'm sorry that we lost her on this.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.